Thank you for staying for the news. Let's get into our first story now. And Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin says the creation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor was an act in futility and would truly not achieve any results. He's also stressed that there was no way the creation of that office could deal with the canker of corruption. The minority in Parliament also insists there's a plot to frustrate the Special Prosecutor, Kisia Jabing, until he resigns. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante now reports.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin stirred controversy in the House today when he said the Special Prosecutor's creation was an act in futility which will not achieve anything really, just as he has spoken of at the time this bill was passed. This was at a time when the Special Prosecutor was not a matter of discussion on the floor, but the anti-LGBTQ bill was the subject of conversation on the floor. And so it was a bit out of the blue that the Speaker of Parliament will hit that hard at the institution of the Special Prosecutor. But later on in the day, when the Special Prosecutor's estimate in the 2024 budget was considered, we heard from the minority spokesperson on Constitutional and Legal Affairs, Bernard Ahiafo, who argued that it appeared this government is seeking to frustrate Kisia Jabing until he resigns.
For the law you passed on the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, I did tell you that it was an act in futility. You were not going to achieve anything from that, but you went ahead to pass it. I disagreed with you, but I was alone. Well, I'm very clear in my mind that that authority is embedded in the powers of the Attorney General.
All institutions must come together to support the office of the Special Prosecutor. I believe strongly because the office of the Special Prosecutor is not getting the institutional support, he had to do a press conference to say that his Ankwa Numa Odinikra Abo Afori his life. If you listen to him, you can come to a conclusion that this is a statement made out of frustration. Mr. Speaker, do we want a young man, 43 years, removed from the lecture theater and the courtroom and appointed as a Special Prosecutor to also resign as a result of frustration? I believe that the first Special Prosecutor that we have appointed similarly resigned, and after resignation, he indicated that the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, is a mother serpent for corruption. Corruption affects everybody. Therefore, the office of the Special Prosecutor needed all institutions to support him in order to perform his functions creditably.
But Communications Minister Eslo Usu argued that simply because the Special Prosecutor was not getting the exact amount that was budgeted for and that there were low release of funds would not necessarily mean that the government was seeking to frustrate the work of the Special Prosecutor.
As long-standing members of this House, I'm sure we are all aware of the annual budget ritual where all ministries, departments, and agencies decry the fact that despite their budget needs, almost invariably, they never get sufficient resources to enable them prosecute their mandate.
The House has approved 149 million Ghana cedis for the Special Prosecutor to spend in 2024. Of course, it does not necessarily mean that Kisia Jabing and his staff will be able to draw on all 149 million by the end of 2024. But that is the amount Parliament has approved for the Special Prosecutor to spend. And Parliament says it believes this will equip the Special Prosecutor to continue its recruitment drive and prosecute as many corruption cases as possible. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
In our next story, some communities in the Pro East district of the Bono East region are recording increasing cases of typhoid fever following the contamination of drinking sources by floods. Data at the district health directorate shows about 200 recorded cases. A majority of the cases were recorded in the Parambo and Sawaba communities. District Director of Health, Ramzia Ahmed, says community sensitization is being enhanced to deal with the cases. Nanaya Ojima has more in this report.
About 12 communities in the Pro East area were flooded after the Volta Lake and Pro River overflowed their banks due to excessive rainfall. The flood left many families displaced. Over 120 homes were affected. Waste from the communities submerged were washed into the water bodies, which are the main sources of drinking water in the communities. Families who rely on these sources for drinking water share their experience.
The
polluted water bodies are only source of drinking water. We continue to use it for domestic purposes. My daughter had to undergo surgery when she contracted the illness. My daughter wasn't the only one affected.
Hospital now, health center.
When we report to the health center, we are referred to the hospital for treatment. Many of our people had to undergo surgeries. When we went to the hospital, all children in the ward were from our community.
Parambo is among communities largely affected by the outbreak. Residents have grappled with insanitary conditions and access to potable drinking water. Nurse manager of Parambo Clinic, Nash Bekwe, who is alarmed by the situation, wants the community to take action to improve sanitation and water sourcing.
So we alerted the disease control officers to do their investigations. Then we realized that it's the free range that they are doing because there are no toilet facility in major homes. Majority of homes in Parambo sub-district. So when the flood came, our water bodies were infected, causing the outbreak of enteric fever in the sub-districts. The typhoid cases that we recorded, children under 5 were most affected, and women. So let's if you do it like percentage-wise, like children would be like 45, and the adult and female will be 35, and the rest is for the men. Yes.
The communities, despite the challenge identified, continue to drink from contaminated sources. Already, health authorities have intensified sensitization in affected communities, including education on treatment of water for consumption. District Health Director Ramzia Ahmed explains.
We went to Sawaba area, did our investigations, and we were able to meet the opinion leaders and advise them on the causes of the disease, the prevention of the disease, and early reporting for treatment. And so since we did that, the cases are coming down. We are monitoring the cases. For week 48 of the year, we recorded only 3 cases. So it means that the cases are coming down, and the people are also adhering to our advice on the management of the outbreak.
Though the situation is being stabilized, health authorities are demanding measures to improve health situation in the area. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Now, health authorities at the Tichiman Holy Family Hospital are worried about the increase in new HIV cases in the area. HIV coordinator for Tichiman, Godfred Amankwa, says his outfit will elevate its education of the citizens on the need to know their HIV status. Anas Habit has more.
As countries across the globe are marking the World AIDS Day, health authorities here at the Tichiman Holy Family Hospital are expressing worry at the increasing number of new cases recorded at the facility. The situation, according to the facility's HIV coordinator, Godfred Amankwa, is largely as a result of the decline in awareness creation across the area. He made this remark during an awareness creation march along the principal streets of Tichiman.
Every 1st December is World HIV Day. Unfortunately, this year coincided with Farmers Day, so we decided to reschedule to today to celebrate World HIV Day, to create awareness about HIV and for people to encourage people to do the HIV testing. Once you test positive, there's more life. If you are fortunate and you are negative, we'll educate you on how to keep negative and life goes on.
Godfred Amankwa disclosed that the Holy Family Hospital has recorded a total of 265 new HIV cases between January and October this year, an increase of 65 of the number recorded within the same period last year.
So HIV in Tichiman is every year we have an increased number of cases. As at October 2020, from January up to date, from Holy Family Hospital, we have 85 new cases for men, 147 for females, and 35 for pregnant women. So total from January up to October 2023, we have 265 new cases of HIV only in Holy Family, meaning the case keeps on rising. And that is for Holy Family. When you compare other facilities in municipality, we are almost getting to 500.
Dr. Asanima Asari is a project officer for Ghana West Africa program to combat AIDS and STIs in charge of Tichiman and Nkranza. She charged all to be part of the fight against HIV/AIDS and admonished the masses to say no to stigma.
The fight against AIDS is not a one-man's business. It's a business for us all. You don't have to sit in your house thinking that just because you don't have the virus, you cannot get it. It's just at your doorstep. The earlier we start reducing how we stigmatize and point fingers at people, the better for all of us, because what it does is that it encourages other people to come and test.
Now, handlers of the National Malaria Elimination Program are asking for increased private sector support to fund malaria elimination in the country. Deputy Programs Manager Dr. Nanaya Alpepra, who spoke at the Zero Malaria Business Leadership Initiative stakeholders meeting on the fight against malaria in Ghana, indicated Ghana had made progress over the years in the reduction of mortality from 428 in 2018 to 151 in 2022. He indicated that the private sector support was crucial in achieving the nation's target of reducing mortality by 90% in 2028 and reducing malaria cases by 50% using 2022 as a baseline.
Malaria is both endemic and perennial throughout Ghana, putting the entire population at risk. It also accounts for 30% of all OPD cases in Ghana, while 25% of all hospital admissions are due to malaria. Like most malaria endemic countries, one of the major obstacles to eliminating the diseases in Ghana is the significant funding gap for the full implementation of the National Malaria Elimination Program's National Strategic Plan. Deputy Programs Manager Dr. Nanaya Alpepra says the private sector's support is key to achieving these goals.
I think this morning's meeting has been very important because over the years we have made progress in the fight against malaria. We have seen parasite prevalence reduced from around 28% in 2011 to 8.6 in 2022. We have seen mortalities reduced from in the thousands about a decade ago to around 151 last year. And all this has been with limited resource. So we have what we can use to eliminate malaria, but we don't have enough resources. We have just roughly had about 50% of what we needed over the years. And that is why we are very convinced that if you're able to get all the needed resources, we should be able to eliminate malaria from Ghana. And that is why we engaged the private sector this morning. We are hopeful that with this engagement, we can have more resources to win the fight against malaria.
The Zero Malaria Business Leadership Initiative is organized by EcoBank in collaboration with Speak Up Africa and the National Malaria Elimination Program. It seeks to reinforce domestic resource mobilization through private sector engagement for malaria elimination in Ghana. It also aims at appealing to the private sector to commit to contributing to the fight. Dr. Daniel Kasati is head of marketing at EcoBank.
We are all trying to close up the funding gap, between what the situation is now and the desired amount of money required to be able to eliminate malaria. And we have made the point that it is not possible for the public sector or government alone to do this. That is why there is the need for us to take the lead as a bank in galvanizing support from the private sector. We started with a seed fund of 120,000 USD, and that is what we are working with. It is our expectation. This is supposed to be a matching fund. So if any company brings in any amount, we match the same equivalent amount and then disperse into the area of interest. There is no country around the globe where the public sector or government was able to single-handedly eliminate malaria. Wherever malaria has been eliminated, it's been a collaboration between the public sector and the private sector. And we are a leading bank in this country. So once this idea was brought to our notice, we took it on board and said we will lead in this drive to galvanize support from the private sector because it is critical.
The high
Now, kingmakers in Drapa have unanimously endorsed the regent of Drapa, Na Justice Donglabong Dina, as successor to the late Na Ansole Ghana II. This makes him the 5th chief of Drapa in over 100 years. Justice Dina pledged to rebuild the iconic Drapanas Palace, which used to be a great tourism site, but has now almost turned into rubble. Rafiq Salam reports.
It was crystal clear, and the writing was on the wall that Na Justice Donglabong Dina was going to be the successor to the late Na Ghana Ansole II, otherwise known in private life as Peter Tengeneban Namfuri. A chick that will grow into a rooster is already spotted the very day it hatches. 41-year-old Justice Donglabong Dina is a teacher by profession and is in charge of Culture and Language Studies at the Jiriba Municipal Office of the Ghana Education Service. He learned the ropes and rudiments of the tradition and culture of the people, working as a secretary to the late Na Ghana Ansole II. He has no difficulty fitting into the role because his father, Tankoba, served in the same portfolio to the late Bakwanji Nayelpoe II. Almost 6 months after the burial of the late Na Ansole Ghana II, processes to perform his final funeral rites before a new chief is chosen kick-started. The rites were laced with 8 other persons from the family who during the course of the year had passed on. Anthony Jordan Batier, a tendana from Moiri, explained further.
If you are a farmer, you farm. When you are no more, we have to produce a sheep according to your farming listen. And then we add the millet. It is the millet that we are going to give to the women. Those husbands who that are of late, they will now go and turn it into malt or pitomate and then bring it the 2 weeks that we are put today. Every year, that is what we do. But it's only this year that have coincided with the passing on of the chief. So we have also added his thing.
The choreographed spectacle and meticulous performance of the final funeral rites of the 9 persons lasted for almost 7 hours. After that, the announcement that many had waited with bated breath to hear in the municipality and beyond, an announcement that will shape the future of Jiriba municipality and its people. The 7 recognized kingmakers were unanimous in their decision and amplified by Anthony Jordan Batier, who serves as one of their spokespersons.
We have already come out with a successor, who is now Justice Dolabondina. And I think a date has been given by the elders as 30th of December 2023.
Now Justice Dolabondina sat few meters away from where the announcement was made. He winked a smile, shook his head, with his fists held to each other, probably thinking about the responsibility that has just been placed on him.
I am humbled by the decision of the Tendamba, just like I was humbled when my elder brother, Na Anselekana II, appointed or nominated me as his personal secretary. So it is today that the Tendamba, after this ritual, finds it prudent to nominate me as a successor.
Before his outdooring, he already had his eyes fixed on reconstructing the iconic one-story Jebana's Palace, which has now almost turned into rubble.
It's one thing that I so much wish that in the nearest future it will be rebuilt and we will go back to our old glory. I'm saying this because if you happen to have visited the old palace, you will see a new edifice there, an auditorium block. It took my intervention and lobbying to get it erected. It took us just 8 months, so I won't be surprised if it will take us less than that to build the palace.
Now Justice Dolabondina is expected to be coronated on December 30. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Jireba.
On that note of chieftaincy, we cap off the news. But stay with us. The news review is up next with Dr. Kwame Asasanti.